Hello, I'm John Pennington, Extension Water Quality Educator, and today I'm going to be talking about and demonstrating how to control invasive plants such as privet. Privet is an invasive plant that arrived to North America from other places in the world, and like other invasive species, it is an aggressive grower, rapid spreader, and colonizer. It produces prolific amounts of seeds, and it can completely change or disrupt an ecosystem. Today we're in a riparian forest next to Coleman Creek in Little Rock, and this forest has been overtaken by privet. As you can see behind me, almost all of the plants that are in the understory are privet, and that is because it outcompetes all of the other plants in the ecosystem because of the lack of competition from natural selection here in North America. When it comes to controlling invasive plants, there are a variety of methods that can be used: chemical, biological, cultural, and mechanical. And today, we're going to demonstrate 2 mechanical and 1 chemical removal method. Here in Arkansas, you can find it as an evergreen or as a deciduous or somewhere in between, which is kind of where we are today. This plant next to me, you can see, has lost a number of leaves on it, and that's because the weather was so cold that they actually fell off. But when the temperature is warmer, such as Florida most of the time, they'll stay evergreen all year, and some places in South Arkansas as well. Another way to identify a privet is to take note of its generally opposite branching. You can see that for each branch, it's opposite to another one. Everywhere a branch is growing, there's one growing on the other side. The leaves on the plant are also opposite. Opposite leaves is another way to determine that it's a privet. The leaves are generally ovate to elliptical in shape. And again, it's one of the only green things growing in the winter out in the forest that's not a traditional evergreen. The bark itself is a gray with white mottles up and down the bark. And once you find 1 or 2 of them, you generally find a few of them. And after you find a few of them, you can pretty much identify them almost every time that you see them. So now we're gonna showcase or demonstrate the 2 primary mechanical removal methods that are effective. One of them is very simple. Everybody can do it if they've got a strong back, but sometimes it's not as easy as you would think. So we're simply just going to grab this plant and we're going to pull it out of the ground. And so you can see that the roots are not very big on the plant, and the plant came out pretty easily, but some of the root got left in the ground, and any root that gets left in the ground will have the potential to grow back. So this is one of the limitations with a mechanical removal method, is that if you do not get all the roots, you'll have to come back and treat the area again. And if mechanical is the way you want to do it, it might not be so easy to pull out the second time. Sometimes when you're doing mechanical removal of privet, you absolutely have to have a tool like a shovel or a pickaxe or a puller bar. And today we have a mechanical leverage tool that is a weed wrench, puller bear type tool that has a wrenching head that we can place around the plant, and it will clamp back, and basically just a simple lever action will pull the plant out of the ground. Again, you can see that the roots are not very expansive. For any amount of this root, which there was some that was left in the ground, can resprout and grow another plant. And follow-up treatment is also necessary when you're doing control of invasive plants with chemicals because there is a seed bank, and also a chemical may not 100% kill every plant every time. Now that we've done some mechanical clearing, a great way to do chemical clearing of invasive plants is what's called the cut and paint. You simply cut the plant and you apply herbicide. There are several versions of this, but today we're gonna stick with cut, stump, paint. What you do in a cut, stump, paint is you take your glyphosate that you have in a container. There are several containers that you can get that will hold the product. You mix it with a blue ink that you can get at the place you buy your chemicals, and it will let you see when you have treated the plant so that you don't miss any. So for this treatment, we'll simply come in, cut the plant. We'll take our applicator and we'll just daub some of this herbicide on the stump. Because we have good community volunteers willing to help, we were able to clear out this riparian area of privet. When we were clearing out the streamside area, we did use the cut and paint technique because it is the smoothest way to do this without having accidental drift into the waterway, and also without disturbing the soil so that there's not clods of dirt that are going to erode into the stream. And then the follow-up treatment here would be to plant back with seed or native trees and shrubs, and keep an eye out for invasives that might try to grow back in from the seed bank, and so that we can allow the new plants that we've put in a chance to survive. If you want to figure out what kind of chemical that you need to use to kill a particular invasive plant, a great tool to use for that is the Arkansas major publication MP44 recommended chemicals for weed control. It's a great publication. It's really simple to use. You open it up and it has a table of contents on the cover, and you can look for the situation you're in. And today we were in forestry, and that's on page 181. And when I flip over to 181, I look across the top of the key for privet, and then I can come down the column and I can see the ratings for the chemicals to use, which goes from effective to poor or fair. And today we used glyphosate for a cut surface treatment at 50% chemical and water. And the reason why is because it is an effective treatment. So chemicals a lot of times are going to be necessary to kill larger areas of invasive plants just because the control is so much greater and the ability to cover a large area is so much more practical.